I mean, you're right. The only way out is forward. And if we keep on looking at the past and saying, that's another thing that I always say to the kids. I
Yeah.
say a lot of things to the kids. Some of it's just BS, but I say a lot of things to the kids. And really, it's done. It happened. It's in the past. What did you learn from it? But stop focusing on like, if you did bad on a test, it's done. Like, what can you move forward with instead of like, it's ruined my life. No, it hasn't. This is how you move forward.
And I guess that's where where is the lesson in this thing always
Mm-hmm.
comes into play.
Yeah,
And just understanding, all right, how can I be better next time?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Her Unshakable Confidence with dynamic mother-daughter duo Simone and Olivia Knego, where they discuss the secrets of transformation and how to build bold confidence and unwavering resilience. From intimate conversations with inspiring guests to sharing their personal journeys of triumph and challenge, Simone and Olivia create a supportive space where every woman is encouraged to rise above her fears and love the woman in the mirror. Tune into Her Unshakable Confidence and join this special journey of connection and growth. It's like catching up with old friends who inspire you to be bravely and uniquely you.
Welcome to this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego.
And I'm Olivia Knego.
And we are very excited to have a special guest with us, Amanda Greaves.
Hi.
Welcome, Amanda.
Hi there. How are you?
We are great. This is actually the first recording we've done since the beginning of the new year. So
yes,
we're like, okay, do we have like rusty pedals? Are we good?
No, I feel like this is back to routine.
Okay. It was like rusty pedals not doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the bio. Amanda Greaves is a dynamic and entertaining speaker. See, I always mess up words. Author of the book, The Chameleon Diaries, Designing a Life Worth Changing For, which I can't wait to talk about that. An empowerment coach and interior designer. She understands the importance of collaboration, communication, and creativity, and is fully committed to serving others on a deep and meaningful level of connection and confidence. Perfect. By embracing the power of change and guiding others through the radically honest process of digging in and doing the work, Amanda's mission is to empower others to get past their own limiting beliefs and guide them on navigating their own life's transitions. Amanda's leadership and educational style captures the hearts and souls of all that know and experience her energy, which she has amazing energy. And her enthusiasm and step-by-step process will have you taking immediate strategic action on your intentional journey with clarity and passion. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here. Very nice to be here. And Happy New Year to you both.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We are very excited to have you here. And I really want to dig into your book to start with, because I believe the first time we met was you were working on your book cover at the time.
Yeah,
and
I was.
And I love the title, right? The Chameleon Diaries, right? It's such a cool title. So kind of what inspired you to write it? Give us a little bit about what it's about. And
yeah, so the inspiration to write the book has always been in me. I've always wanted to write, and we all have how many stories?
Mm-hmm.
It was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back that really set me in motion. And by that, I mean, there were two. This was back at the end of 2022. I had been maneuvering my way out of a emotionally abusive relationship that I had been quite literally stuck in. And it was just like this back and forth and back and forth and like for 2.5 years. I find out that he has a girlfriend and had the entire time that we had been together. So that was just like, that was it. Nail in the coffin. I've never spoken to him since. Thank God.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Exactly. So there was a lot of healing that needed to happen for that. And then quite literally the following day, I got an email from a developer that I had been working with for 6 years. And he had been back and forth and back and forth. We want you to work on this. We don't want you to work on that. Da, 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 da. And he emailed me back laughing at an invoice that I had sent to him and said that all of my contracts were now canceled. And I had been replaced with a local, less pricey designer. And by doing so, he basically canceled 60% of our projected revenue for the following year.
Wow.
So within a 48-hour time frame, I got released of a relationship which was great, and I've reframed these words since then. And I got released of working with a similar man in my professional atmosphere, and I realized it was time for me to take a big break, for me to take a big step back, and I started writing the book. And oddly enough, when I started writing it, it was going to be a big FU to both of them. And the more I got into it, the more I realized I didn't want to give them any more power. So they still have, from my perspective today, too many chapters. However, not as many as they would have had I written it immediately. And the book really is the first chapter says most of what I just said, and then it goes back to 8th grade, and then it's a progression from there for me to understand, how did I get to this point? How did I get to the point of working with and falling in love with a narcissist and an emotional abuser? And it was a pattern that I'd been created. So the book itself was very cathartic to write it and then to get it out there. And that's where everything is starting to stem from, is the healing process through it all.
And I feel like for a lot of women, it's that unknown, right? I think that's the scariest part. But once you step into the unknown and you look back, and I think writing is a great way to do it, whether you publish a book or not, but really being able to put things down on paper to say, this is what I went through. Why did I make these choices? And what stopped me from doing something different, I think really is so empowering.
Yep. Yeah. It was, I mean, the last couple of years, for lack of a better word, they've been challenging. And I thought I was going to, well, then it got better, because then I thought I was going to publish the book, which I did in February of 2024. So I wrote it really fast, and I needed to get it out there. I just needed to get it done. And I thought I was going to take the book on tour, get my speaking even further off the ground than it had already been done. And a week after I published the book, my business partner told me that she told me that she wanted to buy the company from me, and that wasn't in any of my plans. And it basically came down to an ultimatum that if I didn't sell to her, that she was leaving and starting her own firm. And I realized I didn't want to do it anymore. So I felt like I had been backed into a corner. And that, at the end of the day, became a massive blessing for me, because I was able to let go of a company that I was no longer interested in being a part of. And it's really opened up more space and grace for me to move forward with my speaking and my coaching.
So are you still doing any interior design, or?
There's some project. Yeah, there's some small projects that I'm doing on the side, and I'm still consulting with my old company on occasion. So it's definitely not out of my system. There's no way you could do something for 30 years and then just walk away from it. I mean, maybe there is, but no, there's still some design projects. There's still design in my blood, and it's just not at the forefront. It's more like third or fourth place in priorities.
So tell me what you love about speaking.
There's so much to love. I love being able to connect with the audience and share my stories, which some of them, they suck, to be quite honest with you, and some of them are amazing and they're awesome. But I love being able to look out into that audience and look out and see one or two or however many people I can make eye contact with, and know that we are sharing a story. Know that I might possibly be the voice that she's been looking for. And Simone, when I saw you speak at that member spotlight, you spoke part of my story, and I felt so connected with you through your entire speech that gave me more motivation to hone my skills even further. And it's one of those, you were telling your story about your John, and coincidentally, the last person I was with, his name was John.
Oh, wow.
So, so it really hit home. And that's what I love about speaking, is that emotional connection that you can get beyond a conversation.
I think a lot of times that anything that we struggle with, and Olivia, I mean, you have not been in any kind of abusive relationship, but just in life in general, we feel like we're alone with anything that we struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about speaking is that when you hear someone else speaking, you're like, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she made that change. Maybe I could make that change too.
Yeah.
And you realize like the world is not as big as you thought it was. And you
Right.
also feel like you have this connection that you didn't have before. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, Liv, I don't, you haven't experienced it from that. But what about in terms of just life in general when you realize with a person that, oh, wait, I'm not the only one that's struggling with something?
I mean, I feel like I kind of have the opposite in just the way of like the person that I'm with right now. We've been together for 2.5 years, and he's the first person I feel like I can confront my emotions with in a way that it won't ruin our relationship. And not that that's whatever happened with anybody else, but I've always had this, I don't know, fear of confrontation or fear of actually speaking the emotions that I'm feeling because
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt that person will just, well, if they don't like it, they can just leave. And just with my partner now, that's just not how I feel at all. And it's honestly, we have great communication. And it's one of the things that's helped me so much during the last year because I had so many transitions in my life last year was just the ability to like be honest about how I'm feeling and be honest that what he does sometimes affects me and can make me upset.
That's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a
Yes.
very nice guy.
But I mean, I saw two of my closest friends right now just got out of very, very abusive relationships. And the most striking thing for me was that I've heard my mom give her speech in that story dozens of times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fact that this is how many years later, and that my friends, the same age as you were, Mom, maybe a little older, went through these same exact things.
Yeah, I think it's a really hard thing to stomach. I don't know. Maybe we just don't talk about it enough.
I don't think we do.
And I
Yeah.
think that, there's that feeling of shame when you are in a toxic relationship that, okay, let's say abusive relationship, whether it's mentally abusive or physically abusive or both, it's really you. I mean, I had a sense of shame, a sense of guilt. It's my fault. Oh, I need to hold on to him. I need to do this. And I think that is actually the complete opposite of what needs
Mhm.
to happen. But if we don't talk about it with other people, it's really hard to know what to do. And it's not like all of a sudden, okay, I'm struggling in my relationship. I'm going to get a therapist tomorrow and they're going to help me with this.
Right.
It doesn't work like
No.
that. I mean, it would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. And I think that we stay and stay and stay because we do have the fear of the unknown and we have guilt and we have shame and it's really hard.
It is. And I have to tell you, I mean, I've had numerous amounts of therapists, but while I was going through the end of this relationship, which lasted far too long, well over a year, I felt like I was always in the end. I ended up doing EMDR, which is the eye movement disassociation
Mhm.
recognition. I forget exactly what the words mean, but that's when I actually started to understand that yes, I was an active participant in this toxic and volatile relationship. However, these patterns had started long before I could even remember. And it was in a very unfortunate emotional habit that I kept going back into that I never learned how to get out of at a young age. And when I started doing the EMDR, it made me go back into my childhood elements and understand, why am I constantly chasing unavailable men?
Hmm.
Why am I constantly settling for crumbs? Why is it okay for me to put myself second?
Mm.
And when I started to understand the answers to that and where all the triggers had really started from a young age of 6 and 7 and 8 years old, of, just feelings of loneliness and that just weren't healed properly, that's when I started to understand that this was greater than the singular relationship that I was
Mm.
in.
Mhm.
And there was a lot more healing that needed to happen aside from just getting away from him in the first place. So that's, again, that's where the book comes into play. And that's where life really starts to happen. I feel like I've just started over again and I'm halfway through.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like that too. I mean, obviously, I have a great relationship with my husband. We've been married for almost 32 years now, and I have a really fun family. Like there's no complaints there. But what I struggled with, because I struggled for so long with
Mhm.
self-doubt, I
Mhm.
didn't feel like I was doing anything positive in the world. Didn't matter that I was raising 6 children. Didn't matter whatever career I was in. I didn't feel good about myself. So
Mhm.
therefore, I wasn't being my true self.
Right.
And when I realized that, and again, yes, there's certain aha moments, and then there's a long process, right? It's not like, oh, everything changes tomorrow. No, it's every day is a struggle to remind
Mm.
ourselves like we are good enough. We are more than enough. We're all unique. Like we should appreciate exactly who we are. But when we get stuck in that rut of
Yeah.
a toxic relationship that really kind of puts us on a path forward that unless we truly address it, it comes back again and again and again.
So here's a very interesting quick story. I do Pilates. I take classes all the time, and it's mostly women. And of course, it's after the holidays, everybody's doing their
Mhm.
thing, and it's one of the first classes of the new year. And there was this woman standing next to me, and she's like, "I have to lose 30 pounds." And somebody behind me chimed in, "Oh, I'm on a diet now. I'm doing dry January." Da da da. And you get into that energy. And I said, "Yeah, I'm not as happy as I'd like to be with my body, but." I'm working on it right now. And my niece just was like, "Auntie, be quiet." And I thought, okay. And she's 18. So she comes with me. And after class, and I just stopped, I stopped the conversation. I was fine, wasn't mad, didn't bother me at all. We get outside. She's 18 years old. And she says to me, "Auntie, you're beautiful. I need you to stop talking about yourself the way that you were in class." She said, "Look at you, just all of these different things." And she says, "If we all just learn how to start treating ourselves better and talking to ourselves with more love and respect, this whole world's going to be a better place." And I thought to myself, oh my God, I love you so
Mhm.
much, and
It's so true.
yeah,
And Olivia's had that same conversation with me when she was about, I think, 15 years old,
yeah,
where I was putting myself down, trying to put clothes on. I didn't fit into them.
yep.
And I talked very nasty to myself.
I
And
wonder if it's a generational thing. I mean, I feel that the young, it may or may not be, it could also just be upbringing, but my niece she's very aware of where she's at. And I think to myself, gosh, I wish I had been that aware when I was 18 years old. Everything would be very different.
Olivia, I feel like for you that you'll still be mean to yourself sometimes, but you check yourself, right? Like
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, I think that unfortunately self-doubt, like you said, it's always this idea of like one step forward, three steps back. I mean, I think that can be applied to any process in your life, like weight loss, weight gain,
Mhm.
self-confidence changes, any of the above is, there's always going to be setbacks. And yeah, I could never come on here and tell you like I'm this unshakably confident human being because unfortunately, like everybody, I have moments of shakeability and moments that, like I get upset, like, hey, that pair of jeans fit last year. It doesn't fit this year.
Mhm.
On that note, though, I do think one of the things that my generation has been very good about is the idea that bodies change, especially women's bodies. And I mean,
Yeah.
your size is never consistent as a woman. And like I studied fashion in school, so even that sizing, regardless if your body changes, isn't consistent either. So maybe I just like have developed this mindset of how arbitrary it all is.
Yeah.
mm,
I like
yeah.
that.
And I think when you're talking about, confidence, and I say building unshakable confidence, it's the
Mhm.
process of doing it. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm unshakably confident right now. Like this is
So
the.
I'll give a great example. Yesterday, my car got towed. If
Oh,
this had happened to me my senior year of high school, I would be in bed a wreck for the entire week, unable to like stop crying because it would be the end of the world for me. I couldn't
okay.
believe how stupid I was. I should have
Yeah.
listened to the signs, blah, 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 blah. Yesterday, saw that my car got towed. I was with my friends, so I was like, hey guys, let's figure this out. Yes, of course, I had that moment of panic, but I was able to recover and everything is fine now.
Mhm. You didn't lose a week.
No, I didn't lose any time except for
Yeah.
the hour I had to spend finding the car because that's how tow truck drivers are. But besides that, like it's this build up. And
Yeah.
even 2 years ago, maybe it wouldn't have been a whole week in bed, but I would still have been crying about it and very upset about it.
I think that's a huge acknowledgement to your ability, your emotional growth as an individual and as a woman. And I recall there were times where, in certain relationships, I'd be in an argument and we'd have one bad night and it would take 3 days to get through it. And it would affect everything else that was going on in my life. And now, my pendulum used to swing so far back and forth that like I couldn't keep track, or I felt like I was on a roller coaster that just kept going up and down. And I said, all I want to do is get on the Caterpillar roller coaster. I just want to get here. And I finally feel like I've landed on the Caterpillar roller coaster because things aren't as dramatic and out of control. And I'm not as, and I think those are the challenges that we face as we're growing up, as we're running our companies, as we're doing any kind of relationship, whether it be a business relationship or a love relationship or any type of family or friend relationship. It's finding where our neutral is and knowing that that's where our regulated home needs to be, and not, like somebody said that to me once. I was like, what in the world are you talking about? She's like, you need to find your regulated home. I'm like, I'm in my home, like I didn't understand what she was saying. And when I really started to understand, it's about where do I go in the center of my core when I'm faced with adversity or challenges or chaos or something that's just so boring I can't even manage it. Whatever, whether it's wicked high or wicked, like whatever it may be, where's my neutral and how do I react from there instead of reacting from here? That's, congratulations, Olivia, for getting to that point now and not losing a day or a week.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the point there is like, it's still a work in progress.
Yep.
There's not one person on this planet that isn't a work in progress.
Yeah.
Right? There's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as a person that doesn't have struggles. It just doesn't exist. And I think, again, we don't talk about it enough. And that's why people will see just the shiny moments on social media and think this other person has the most magical life. And then you have a conversation with them and you're like, oh, okay.
One of the things
too. And
I really want to do this year is like make my social media presence very real.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, because I hesitate so much when even just like posting random things and I'm like, oh, what will that person think? Why do I care?
Right.
First of all. Second of all, what, like, if that can have one impact on someone's day, like, yeah, I did like something really cool in the evening, but like I did have a breakdown about how much reading I had in the morning. Yeah. And instead of hiding that and just posting the best parts of your life.
Yeah. I think that this is the year.
Yeah.
You just, again, I think the word authenticity obviously is overused. Yeah. But I think by just being real, being yourself, and letting people see all the, sharp edges as well. Like, here's what I struggle with because, and honestly, for me, like when I put myself out there with something that I'm struggling with, and I get a response back from somebody like, oh my gosh, like, oh, or here's what I did. It not only makes me feel like I'm helping someone else, but it's helping me.
Yeah.
So there is that selfish part to it.
Well, I mean, there's always an element of growth within ourselves that we're yearning for. And I mentioned this before we started recording, is I thought 2024, I was going to come out of the gate, publish the book, take all these things. And at the end of December, I was like, God, I feel like I'm in a freaking washing machine. Like I'm on the agitation cycle and then all of a sudden the spin cycle, I'm like, all right, it's almost over. And then I'm like, no. And then it starts agitating again. And just when I think I'm about to like get taken out and put in the dryer, it all started over again. And I thought, oddly enough, even though I had gotten out of that relationship, I had stopped working with that developer and I ended up selling my company. I had imagined all this. I want to simplify my life and being able to just kind of cruise a little bit more, on my little roller coaster. But in reality, I'm talking about 40 plus years of agitation that I need to learn how to dry out, and figuring out how to take all that shit from high school and college and and when I was married and all the relationships in between and all those things. And now it's like, do I really think it's all going to go away on December 31st? No, like there's so much built up stuff in there. It legit, it took me all last year to get through some things. And I feel that 2025, it's going to take me a good portion of this year to continue to move through those things so I can get to the other side of what I believe is going to be my truest fulfillment. And yeah, I still have breakdowns, but they're fewer and further between, and they're not as dramatic as they used to be. But like, we talk about doing the work, we talk about healing, we talk about being unshakable and confident in all of these things. And yes, that is what I aim for every day. My big word for 2025 is clarity. And for me, that clarity is across the board. My emotions, my finances, my relationships, all the things, what I'm eating, how my body is. I want to be clear, crystal clear on my intentions. And if I can just continue to remind myself of that one singular word of clarity, that washing machine will stop eventually and I'll be able to get out and be the best version of myself more consistently.
Do you think that we are, you hear this a lot, like in high school? I don't know if you do anymore, Liv. I mean, you're not in high school anymore,
No,
but this
I
whole,
haven't been for 5 years.
I know, but for younger people that,
Mhm.
oh, she's only attracted to the bad guys, right? She's only attracted to like, and I'm just curious if that's still like a conversation that people have.
So I had a conversation that reminds me of that, but it was not described as she's attracted to the bad guys. It was, for some reason, she always picks the boys that are mean to her.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's not like the bad, like in the way that they're attractive anymore. Like the way we were talking about these guys was like, yeah, like she just, for some reason, always chooses the guys that are super, super mean to her.
So I think that goes back to patterns, but I'm just
Mm.
curious, Amanda, like that whole idea of that we do step back into these same scenarios, right? We whether it is in a relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse,
Mhm.
or if it is with a friend, right?
Yeah.
We can all be surrounded by toxic friends that
Mhm.
why do we keep coming back when every time you're around them, they make you feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
But it is some kind of pattern that so I think that the way of saying like that, oh, she's only attracted to the bad guys or only attracted to the guys that are mean to her is just a way of saying something different.
Well, I think, to be quite honest, I've always been attracted to emotionally unavailable men, which made me mean because I was pissed off that they weren't there all the time. And then I realized I was just repeating the same habits as my mom. Because my dad traveled a lot when we were young. And so there was this lack of support energy in my house as I was growing up. And I absorbed that and I've carried that through for years and years and years. And my friends would say to me, why are you always why are you with the guys that are mean to you? Why are you putting up with that? Why do you consistently put up with that? And we never, ever, at least I don't think anybody would in their right mind, intentionally set out to create those kinds of habits ever. But they're more challenging to break than a lot of people realize. And I personally, it's right now people are like, so, why are you single? And I'm thinking, well, because I wouldn't want to be with me if I was a single if I was somebody else. Like I still have somebody will walk in one day and I'll know that it'll be the right one. But as it stands right now, I'm very, very comfortable. I finally got comfortable being alone. And for me, that was a massive, massive step. And it's been a very long journey because I've always been in some sort of a relationship, whether it's been good or bad. So I feel that, where do those habits come from? The more and more I'm learning, the more I realize that they're coming from when we are younger. We develop these things anywhere from 0 to like 12 or 13. And then they stay with us unless we are smart enough to go back and just rewire ourselves. And, that's where I believe, Simone, that's where you had the ability to rewire yourself much earlier than I did. And you were able to find and develop this beautiful relationship with your husband and be married for 32 years with 6 amazing kids and all of the things. And, sometimes I feel that I had to go through everything that I went through in order to make me a better coach, a better writer, a better consultant, in order for me to be a better friend, a better daughter, a better auntie, because I now can sit here and realize the importance of not repeating those habits and listening instead of always jumping in to be the first person heard. And it's I've learned so much over the last couple of years. I could talk all day long.
Yeah. I really agree with what you're saying about the things that we go through. I mean, that truly makes us who we are. Now, do we want to go through a lot of them? Hell no.
No.
But it really does. And when we get to the point where we can look back at them and understand that, then, and not saying like we could have been the same person without going through them. I don't know, because I haven't done it like that. But I think that being able to look back on everything and say, okay, this happened for a reason. Again, embracing your failures kind of thing. Like, oh, I went through that so I could get to this next step. And I went through that to get to this next step. And that's why I always say to the kids too, is that, there's no smooth sailing for anything. Like, you have to just kind of address things as they come up and have that. The fact that you didn't have a complete meltdown yesterday.
That was pretty good.
That was really good. I was like, I wanted to like make some funny comments, but I was like, nope, she's pretty good right now. I'm not going to like,
Yeah, it was
I'm not
actually
going
really good.
I'm not going to poke the bear.
Yeah.
I did say, what did I say? Well, good. I'm sure that will never happen again.
Yeah,
like,
I said, don't jinx me.
And I was like, okay, I was going to keep going down that road and making like really funny comments, but I was like, no, she's in a good place. Let her walk away.
So Olivia, at least now you've learned why your car got towed, and ideally it won't happen again.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fine. And I won't want it to happen again because it was a weird situation. And it was like, yeah.
The guy only took cash. He was in this like little hut. And
yeah, it was so odd. I didn't know if that was like normal because obviously I've never had my car towed before.
Right.
But wouldn't recommend it. Listen to the signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Read the signs. Believe them.
Yeah, and it's like if you get away with it once, don't try your luck twice.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, you say listen to the signs. It's for a very, very long time, I was totally ignorant to the signs going off all around me. I'm talking about I broke my foot on a scooter, didn't pay attention to that one, like all the things. Flat tires, broken feet, whatever it may be. And it's the universe throwing these messages at you. Finally, like, here, you have to sit down. We're just going to take your foot. Oh, okay. Well, you can't drive like this anymore. We're going to pop your tire. And it's those messages where I never used to pay attention to them, and I used to flip out and all the things. And now it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit.
Yeah. Everything that happens to me, I kind of really try and take this mindset of like, what does this mean and why did it happen? Because I don't think really anything is accidental in the world. And I think whether that's a universe message or just like something to learn from something, you have to analyze the situation. You can't just, I don't know, let things go or just not even address them ever, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. I look at it a lot as two different things. Where is the good in this? Because like sometimes there is none that you can see at the moment. And then the other one is, where is the lesson? What is the lesson that this pretty crappy situation is teaching me right now? The more I ask myself those questions, the less I find myself in those situations, because I'm looking now for the answers. I'm looking for the lesson. I'm asking, where's the lesson? Where's the good in this? And giving the universe an opportunity to show me. So that to me has been one of the biggest things that I've adjusted in the last probably 5 years.
I think talking about, lessons from the universe, just really thinking about patience, which especially during the holiday season. A lot of times people don't have any. They're
Nope.
so stressed out. It's the most stressful time of year, which is, the most magical, the most stressful time of year, which is
Mhm.
honestly kind of crazy. That's how it works. But we were on a flight home from California, and the first flight was fine. And then, of course, we were delayed like 4 hours, and whatever. It is what it is. I mean,
Right.
you
Yeah.
and you have to just kind of take it like that. Oh, well, we're lucky. We get to sit down in a restaurant and eat some dinner. It's sometimes it's really hard in the moment when you feel like everything's being thrown at you.
Mhm.
But I think other times you really do have to look at, okay, you know, what was the lesson from that? And the lesson from that, and I think always when I'm traveling with the kids, and especially the younger ones, they're not that young anymore, but still, that patience level where they're not patient anymore. They're like, I can't believe, okay, get over
I'm here
yourself,
for it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, get over yourself. Like, this
Yeah.
is life. There's going to be curveballs every day. Are you
Yeah.
going to react to them negatively every day? You're going to be very unhappy. So, do you know what? Sit there and watch your TV. Watch your, not
Yeah.
TV. Watch your phone.
I
Play a
think
game. Do
I
whatever.
think for me, like anytime I'm stuck in an airport or traveling or anything like that, and I have the opportunity to just sit. I call it an opportunity because I can't do anything about it. And I like to watch other people. I think studying and paying attention to what other people are
Mm,
doing and their reactions, those are some of the biggest lessons learned ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's especially in an airport. Everybody's trying to get somewhere
mm-hmm.
or get away from something. And to sit and really, like, I've gone to an airport before, like right before I came down to Nashville back in November. I was 2 hours early from my flight. I found a spot over near the window, and I legit practiced in front of the window because it was dark outside and light inside. And I said to the guy next to me, I said, "I have a big speech coming up. I'm just going to be practicing over here out loud." And I thought to myself, people are going to walk by and think that she's losing her mind. And then I thought about it. I'm like, nobody's really paying attention to me.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all. And he said, "Well, do you mind if I listen?" I was like, "Oh, no, please do.
Yeah.
I'd love your feedback."
Well,
And
that's hilarious.
also, I think two things with that is A, if they are watching, why would they care? You're never going to see them again. And B, you can be part of their stories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was this lady talking to herself in the mirror for like 2 hours.
And this is what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had some really good advice.
My favorite people watching is at Disney World. And we
Oh,
haven't been in a while, but oh my gosh, sometimes it's really hard to watch because, people have saved up so much money to go on this vacation of a lifetime,
yeah.
and they're trying to fill in every second of every day. And the kids are tired and cranky, and then the parents are yelling at each other, and the kids are crying and screaming, and they're like, okay, the happiest place on earth. But it's very good to watch people's parenting skills in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to my kids, okay, that was an example of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the example is me. I mean, hey, yeah, don't do that. But yeah, it really is interesting when you kind of take that time to just sit and watch the world around you, and you think, you know what? How am I showing forward? Like, what am I doing in my life when I'm walking through, or I'm sitting here? What are, not that I care what anybody thinks about me, but like, what lessons could people learn from me in a positive way? What
Yeah.
lessons can I learn from someone else in a positive way?
Yeah. What kind of example can I set in a situation like this for others to actually just acknowledge and pay attention to?
So let's talk a little bit about coaching.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about
My
your
coaching.
focus. Yeah, your focus
Yeah.
with your coaching.
So I mean, the world is all about frameworks these days. And a lot of what I have been focusing the most on is really it's communication because like I said, I've been attracted to emotionally unavailable men. And that at the base of it comes down to communication, communicating with ourselves, me learning how to find my own neutral and understanding other people's communication styles as well is really what I'm learning more and more. And what I'm teaching more and more is when we know, are we are we am I an I person or a we person? If I'm talking about the company that I just sold, every single time people would ask me, I would say we, us, ours. And there are many, many people that I know that work for companies, and it's I, me, mine. And so there's a big difference when you look at, are you a team player or are you in it for yourself? And when you start to understand just in a quick conversation, hey, how's it going? People will tell you who they are without telling you who they actually are. And for me, learning my communication style has been a huge eye opener. And it's all about discovering and evaluating and signaling strengths. I've gone through this design framework that I've come up with that really it touches upon your towards and away values. And for me, that coaching aspect with some of my clients, they're like, I had no idea that I communicated that way. I had no idea. I was so forward all the time. And when it comes to communication, it's not just about learning your communication style, it's also learning the art of listening, which is something my family doesn't know how to do. My brother, he talks really loud. He's partially deaf, but he talks really, it's always been jockeying for position. And I find it so interesting because the more I started to learn, the quieter I became. And my mom said to me, this was last Christmas, Amanda, what's wrong with you? You're awfully quiet. And I said, nothing. Actually, there's nothing wrong. I'm just observing. And it's so interesting because I realized my family doesn't ask each other too many questions unless you're quiet, unless they think something's wrong.
That's
And
really
if you
interesting.
come out and you're just yapping, nobody's actually even listening to you in the first place. So for me, that was a massive understanding of communication. It starts with listening. It ends with listening. And there's like this much talking in the middle of it.
It is such an interesting thing because I know that I have been in plenty of conversations where I'm saying something and you can see the person like ready to just say the next thing. And you know they've heard nothing of what I just said to them. So it's kind of like, okay, that's a waste of a conversation. But it makes me very aware of how I could sometimes do that, right? And I really think, okay, just be in the moment. Like if there's a time for you to say something, then use that time. But right now, just listen because we do focus on so much we want to say that a lot of times that we don't hear. We don't listen. We might hear, but we don't listen. So
We don't. And I believe, to your point, we can feel the people wanting to say something. Coaching has actually, it's given me an opportunity to learn how to listen more because there's multiple different ways of coaching, but some coaches are more, shall we call it dictatorship. They'll tell you what to do, da, 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 and it's definitely not a therapy session, but there are other options of coaching where I can't teach you anything unless I know who you are. So the first few sessions, it's really a lot of, I'm asking a very simple question and just letting the people go. Tell me everything. And it's eye-opening. And that's the part that I really love because I can curate the workshops when I have multiple people in them. And obviously you curate the one-to-one conversations with the coaching clients. But I have so many tools and so many different types of strategies and worksheets and all these things. It's never a one size fits all. The fashion in the coaching world is all over the map, if you will. And it's just figuring out what the client's shade of gray really is.
yeah, so true. Okay, Liv, we're at 43.
Okay. Would you like me to ask? Is
Oh,
that
wait.
what you're indicating?
Oh, wait. You have to
Oh.
ask a question. And
Yeah.
we got to do your calendar.
Yeah. I didn't know
lost
what
track
you
of
want.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
What
Blah,
is
blah,
the best
blah.
advice a woman in your life has ever given you?
The best advice a woman ever gave me, I mean, there's a lot, but it was how you do anything is how you do everything. And we've touched upon that a few times already. And that was, I felt like it was painted across the sky after that 48-hour back-to-back whammy of finding out the boyfriend had the girlfriend and then losing that giant client. I realized I had been dating and working with the same person and that it was repeating everywhere. So it was, how you do anything is how you do everything. For me, it's so true. If you're 80% in, you're only ever 80% in.
Yeah.
If you're all in, you're all in. If it's not that important to you, fine, let it go. But it's the anything, everything aspect that resonates with me so profoundly now that I actually understand where my neutral is.
I really like that because it reminds me a lot of the idea of what are you doing when people aren't watching, right? Are you behaving the same way? And that's the ultimate goal, is to be yourself. So whether there's someone standing there as you're doing your speech into the window, or there's not, like, are you doing the same thing that you would be doing? And I think that is such an important thing for us to remember, is that it really is all about being yourself and figuring out how to move forward. I mean,
Yeah.
we could talk about that for 72 hours at least. So
Absolutely.
That's really funny, Mom, that is what you're leaving your final words on.
yeah.
Because my quote of the day is very relevant to that.
Oh, good.
You are relentless. When you're trekking through the jungle, you don't know if you're 3 days from civilization or 30 minutes. All you can do is walk. The only way out is forward.
Oh, I love it.
I like it. It's a good calendar.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great
So yeah, I mean, you're right. The only way out is forward. And if we keep on looking at the past and saying, that's another thing that I always say to the kids. I say a lot of things to the kids. Some of it's just BS, but I say a lot of things to the kids. And really it's done. It happened. It's in the past. What did you learn from it? But stop focusing on, like, if you did bad on a test, it's done. Like, what can you move forward with, instead of
How
like,
can you-
oh, it's, it's ruined my life. No, it hasn't. This is how you move forward.
And I guess that's where where's the lesson in this thing always comes into play.
Yeah.
And just understanding, all right, how can I be better next time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this was such a great conversation. Please tell our audience where they can find you. And we'll have everything in the show notes. So
Yep. My website is amandagreaves.com. That's Amanda, GREAVES.com. Instagram is Amanda_Greaves. Facebook is Amanda Greaves 9. LinkedIn is Amanda Greaves 9. I like the number 9, which means that 2025 is actually my year, because 2 + 2 + 5 is 9. And so
I like that.
2025 is going to be a really great year for all you astrological numerology people out there. And
I love that.
And I want to thank you both so much, because being on the Unshakable Confidence podcast is a reminder that we all have the confidence inside of us. We just have to charge it up every once in a while. And having these types of connections with women such as yourself it's a reboot for me. It's like, I feel like I just plugged myself in for an hour and now I'm ready to go. And I've got the rest of the day ahead of me, and I'm like a fully charged phone. I can do anything.
She's in the dryer now. She is out of the washing machine. She is in the dryer.
I'm in the dryer. Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I love the conversation. And thank you all for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Always remember, you are unshakable.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.